I saw Mastodon with Gojira and Lorna Shore, and I've got a lot of praise for all three bands, but I also have some criticisms. Let's talk about it on this week's episode of Heavy Metal Philosophy. Welcome, metalheads. I'm the host of Heavy Metal Philosophy and writer for Metal Digest, John Barbas. Make sure you stick around to the end of the episode for this week's riff of the week. I had an amazing weekend. Let me tell you all about it. Those of you that have been subscribed to the podcast for a long time, you will remember that last year about this time, I went and saw Gojira with Deftones with my wife for our wedding anniversary. Well, actually, that was day 2 of our wedding anniversary celebration last year. On day 1, we actually went to Sabbath Brewing and we saw Hath with Cognitive and Inoculation, amongst other great death metal bands. And so this year I thought to myself, it's really awesome that my wife went with me to go see death metal for her anniversary. And it's not like she doesn't like some metal too, but maybe this year, maybe I don't do the death metal thing. Thought to myself, this year I should probably really try to do something more tailored to what my wife likes. And then I saw the tour announcement that Mastodon and Gojira were going on tour together, the Mega Monsters tour, and I said, well, I have to go see that. So I started looking at the dates, when and where are they playing. Now, as most of you know, I almost always go to the Atlanta market. It's the closest major city for me to drive to. So, of course, I looked and saw when and if they were coming to Atlanta, and they were. But I also saw a couple of other intriguing dates and locations. I saw that around that same time that they were playing Atlanta, they were also playing in North Carolina near my brother, and they were playing in St. Augustine, which is near my old bass player and writing partner who just moved down to Jacksonville. And I thought, man, it would be really great to go down there and see his new spot, visit him, see his baby. He's got a baby that I just love to death. And then also see Gojira and Mastodon. And then I noticed the date, May 5th, the day after my wedding anniversary. And I thought to myself, man, I don't know if I can really get my wife to go and see another death metal show with me for our anniversary, 2nd year in a row. But then my old writing partner talked some sense into me. He said, look, it'll be on the beach. You know your wife loves going to the beach. Make a whole weekend out of it. Then Cinco de Mayo, we'll have tacos. She'll get to see the baby. She loves babies. And I was like, you're right. She will love this idea. So I brought it up to her and she was stoked. My wife loves going to the beach. She loves babies and she loves Gojira. So 2nd year in a row seeing Gojira for our wedding anniversary. I'm one of the luckiest men that there is. So here we go. Road trip to Florida. I paid for the tickets. My wife rented us a condo. And on Thursday, we drove down to St. Augustine, hung out on the beach, cooked food in the condo, woke up the next day, hung out on the beach all day, then met my friends for the concert. And I gotta say, it's really interesting to see a concert in St. Augustine. This is one of the few times that the location of the venue actually changed the vibe of the show. I've seen 1,000 concerts in 100 different cities in this country. And once you get in the venue, inside a venue inside of Boston looks the same. Inside a venue in Asheville, North Carolina looks the same. It's a building. It all looks the same on the inside. And even amphitheaters. I've been to amphitheaters in Atlanta, amphitheaters in Birmingham, and they're usually a bowl with a stage and there's really no discernible culture about them. It's seeing a show. And I've never really wanted that before. But then when I saw this, I was like, actually, this is cool. The St. Augustine Amphitheater is directly inside of Anastasia State Park. So as you're going to the venue, it's like you're going through the Everglades, and the venue is surrounded by lush vegetation. There's palm trees around the amphitheater. You actually feel like you're in a spot in Florida at that show. So the first band up is Lorna Shore, and I have both praised and criticized Lorna Shore a lot on this show. There's a lot of things that they do extremely well, and there's a lot of things that I could do without personally, and that was amplified when I saw them live. There's a lot that I grew to appreciate about them, and there's a couple of things that made me go, yeah, that really reinforces the way I feel about this band. If you're really into tech death, you should probably like Lorna Shore because this is a very technical band, and I don't just mean the extraordinary technique that Will uses to make those insane sounds with his voice. The guitar playing is also very technical. And while that is impressive and amazing, it hurts the live show because the parts that they're playing are so technical that they can't really move that much. It's a really good thing that Will is a standalone lead singer and he doesn't have to play an instrument because he really has to carry the entertainment portion of the show because the band members are forced to pretty much stand there still because they have to concentrate so heavily on what they're playing. Nick Nocturnal really said it best. Playing Lorna Shore, you take a In Flames riff and you increase it a couple 300 BPM, and that's what they're doing. It's so busy and it's so fast that not only do they have to stand still and pay attention to what they're playing, but they also can't do these big movements to really exaggerate and perform for the audience because they're playing so fast that their wrist has to stand still to be maximally efficient to play that fast. So really the only time that the band can really get into it and headbang and jump around is during the breakdown. All of the verses, all of the choruses, the guitar work, the bass work, the drums, it's so fast. They really have no choice but to concentrate, and then the breakdown hits, and that's the only time that they slow down and just play chords, and then the entire band can headbang and jump around and exaggerate their movements and really play to the audience. So seeing Lorna Shore really just brought into sharp relief the criticisms that I've made towards modern deathcore and metalcore recently. You know, if the part that you're looking most forward to is the breakdown, if the breakdown is the best part of the song, then by definition, the rest of the song is weak. I'm not saying don't play fast, don't play technical. I'm not saying that you have to be headbanging and running around the whole time for me to like your band. I'm saying there should be room to breathe in other parts of the song other than the breakdown. Those parts that are so heavy that it's going to make me take my spine out of alignment, I'm about to headbang so hard, we could use some of those moments in other parts of the song besides the breakdown. But hey, it's not all criticism. There's definitely some things to praise about Lorna Shore. For one thing, Will Ramos is an excellent frontman. He's so much fun. He's interacting with the audience. He's so positive and bubbly. I was really taken aback by the duality of man that is those demonic growls that he's doing with his smiling and positive attitude on stage. He was constantly and profusely thanking the crowd for being there and praising the audience and smiling and cracking jokes and encouraging people and talking about lifting up the scene and the community. And I really appreciated that positivity. You know, I love that out of my evil, dark, sinister, demonic metalheads. Yeah. But I will say, at one point, his eagerness really did make me laugh because he goes to the crowd and he says, "Y'all know the words, sing along with me." We can't, Will. You're literally the only man on earth that can make those sounds. How do you expect any of us to sing along with you? And speaking of those incredible sounds that he makes with his voice, I do have one last major criticism about Lorna Shore's set. They didn't play to the Hellfire. Isn't that kind of like going to see Metallica and them not playing Master of Puppets? I was really looking forward to seeing that live. I was really looking forward to seeing my wife's reaction to that live, and they didn't play it. I don't know if they did that on purpose. I don't know if maybe Will's voice was tired. Sure didn't seem like it. He was hitting a lot of crazy noises. I don't know if maybe they don't want to be known for that song anymore, or possibly, and this is my best theory, at one point he said, okay, we got 3 songs left. And then like 30 minutes passed by because one of the songs he played was Pain Remains, which is just, you know, a 12-minute song or something. Yeah, your 3 songs is 30 minutes, you know, whereas most bands' 3 songs is 15. So maybe they just ran out of time. They obviously can't eat into Gojira's or Mastodon's time. So maybe they planned to play it last, but they were out of time and they couldn't. Still, very disappointing that I didn't get to see that. Maybe one day I'll catch him again and I'll get to see it. Then next up was Gojira. And I don't have any criticism of Gojira. I mean, this is my third time seeing Gojira, and I just get more and more impressed. They are easily, in my opinion, one of the best bands playing right now. Now, I want to be very specific about what I mean by that. You might be thinking, yeah, Gojira is not really my thing, so I disagree with you there. They're not one of the best bands right now. No, I don't mean it in a subjective sense. I mean technically, as a band, as a cohesive unit, Gojira is one of the best bands playing right now. Those French dudes are so tight together. Their rhythms are lock sync like a well-oiled machine. Their live show is lock sync like a well-oiled machine. I'm talking their lights, their pyro, the uniqueness of their live show, and just the way that the drums and the guitars, everything is super tight. Gojira is tight together as a unit the way that I've wanted every band I've ever been in to be, and I never quite got to that level. They're at that next level of cohesiveness that is impressive, enviable, amazing. There's just not enough adjectives to properly convey how impressed I was by Gojira as a band. Then you just add in the subjective nature of it, how much I love their music and how much I love the uniqueness of their approach to guitar and drums. And yeah, it's just the perfect package for somebody like me. You know, sometimes I get a little worried doing the show. Have I sort of gone too far? Do I listen to too much extreme metal? Have I ruined myself on the more mainstream side? And then I see Gojira live and I'm like, nope, those dudes still rule. So then Mastodon goes on next, and I kind of wish that Gojira had been headlining. I'm not knocking Mastodon. I love Mastodon. I understand why they were headlining. You know, they've been mainstream success longer. They're an American band. They're a Southern band. And we're in the South, so I understand why they headlined. But just subjectively, with how much I love Gojira, you know, I was more excited to see them. And so even as much as I love Mastodon, and I really want to make this clear, I'm not knocking Mastodon. It just brought it down just a little bit. It brought it down from a 10 to a 9. So, you know, if Mastodon would have went on before Gojira, it would have went from a 9 to a 10, and that would have been a more perfect show for me personally. I'm sure there was lots of people in the audience that was feeling opposite. They were there for Mastodon, you know, being the bigger, more mainstream band. But for me personally, I would have rather have Gojira headlined and finished off the night. But outside of my own baggage, that's really the only criticism I have. Mastodon, of course, put on a hell of a show. This is my second time seeing them, and they've only gotten better. I've always loved how weird and quirky they are and how much fun they have on stage. I love all of the psychedelic imagery that's going on all over the screens that are dispersed all around the stage while they're playing, and how much fun and interaction they're having together. Mastodon puts on a hell of a show. I hate that I prefaced the review of their set with that negativity because it made it seem like I don't like Mastodon. I love Mastodon. I very much enjoyed it. I bought merch, stayed till the end. My wife liked it. My writing partner and best friend liked it. It was great. So all in all, I highly recommend the Mega Monsters tour. If they're coming near you, you definitely need to go see it, and I definitely hope they tour together again. The drummer from Mastodon, after their set was over, said that them and Gojira invented a new genre called whalecore, and yeah, they're perfect for each other. Mastodon played several songs off of Leviathan, and of course, Gojira played Flying Whales, and like I said, this is my third time seeing them, but finally, on my third time seeing them, I got to see that legendary moment where inflatable whales were being bounced around in the audience, and it's in a unique venue. It was so much fun. But I do have two last criticisms of the show before we close. My second to last criticism is the merch prices. That's right, we've covered Gojira's high merch prices in a news segment on a previous episode, and now I saw them firsthand. Boy, that stuff was high. I spent well over $200 on merch. Now, don't get me wrong, I made that decision. I bought a lot of merch. I always do. I always spend way too much on merch, especially after I've had 8 to 14 beers. It's totally my fault. I don't know if the venue is doing merch cuts, and we've already gone over on that episode that Gojira uses eco-friendly materials, which I'm more than willing to pay for. And this is definitely really soft and silky material. This shirt definitely feels a lot better than the Gildan and Champion shirts that I'm used to buying from local acts. So I kind of understand, but hey, this is the internet and I'm going to complain about it a little bit. Their merch is definitely higher than the other bands. I guess they need money to get back to France. But last criticism before we close the show. It was in Florida. What a godforsaken state. I can't believe how terrible the drivers are in Florida. And it's immediately noticeable when you cross the state line from Georgia to Florida. There's no transition period. Right away, people start driving like complete morons. It's like the sun has baked all the wrinkles off of their brains and they're all a bunch of smooth-brained idiots. The heat was oppressive. The civil engineering is garbage. I can't believe the way the roads are laid out. That state should be nuked from orbit. I'm just kidding, y'all. Don't get mad at me if you're from Florida. I thoroughly enjoyed the beaches. I thoroughly enjoyed the food. St. Augustine is an amazing city. I went to the very first ever European colony in America. I went and saw the very first ever mission built in America. So that was a bit of history that I got to experience. I went to the Medieval Torture Museum in the downtown historic district. It was a lot of fun in Florida. I'm just kidding about Florida, y'all. Y'all know I had to talk a little bit of smack. But I am glad to be home. Let's close with the riff of the week. Since I missed out on it, let's do To the Hellfire for this week's riff of the week. So that'll play as the episode closes. I hope you enjoy. Please let me know, have you seen this tour stop somewhere? I saw somebody complaining about Lorna Shore strobe effects in Seattle. I saw them outdoors in the daylight, so it didn't really bother me that much. Did you have a similar experience? Are you going to see them on another leg of this tour? I want to know what you think. And if you're on YouTube, you can click right here and catch another great Heavy Metal Philosophy episode. But most importantly, read philosophy, listen to metal. I love you.